Good, good. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me there quite nicely? Okay. Good. So my name is Igor Parac. I'm Enterprise Agile Coach in Erste Group IT. This Agile Enterprise Coach, whatever that means, we're going to discuss it as we move along. I'm going to do a brief introduction. Originally, I'm coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina, from Sarajevo, so I don't speak Slovak, unfortunately. 6 years ago, I have moved to Vienna to work in Erste Group IT. During my career, I have started as a developer and having fun resolving technical problems. And at some point of time, I have decided to move on to the project management to resolve the people problem. Actually, pretty much today, everything is getting digitalized and everything is software. So today's project management or any kind of management doesn't quite work well with Agile. They have even started to transform the companies in order to allow Agile to flourish. A bit of me, I like to read books, I like heavy metal music, I like to eat, resolve complex logical problems, like to get people around to think about the ideas, and actually I like to connect the dots that are far away from each other. And here's a question: who is Enterprise Agile Coach? First, let me get some feedback from you. What would be your knowledge about Agile? If you know a lot, just raise a hand really high. If you know something, raise a hand here. So how much do you know about Agile? Okay, good, good. This is nice. So if I say Scrum, pretty much everyone will absolutely understand what it is. Good. Now raise a hand higher if you know everything what there is to know about Scrum. Or don't raise if you have no clue what a Scrum is. This is great. I'm just trying to tune. Yeah, this is an excellent one. Good. Do you want me to leave some space at the end for Q&A? Raise a hand if yes, or you just want to look at the boring slide and listen to me. Good. I'll try to shorten slides so we can have a chat at the end. Nevertheless, you can add me on the LinkedIn and we can have a chat outside. First things first, what is enterprise? Besides being a ship in a Star Trek, enterprise is usually considered to be organization with, let's say, around 200 plus people. Now, this has become really interesting because if you look at the big organization, and currently I'm working in a group of organization with 64,000 people, if you try to organize that organization, you start slicing and slicing and slicing, and you end up on the chunks that are decently sized around from 100 to 200 people. And this is actually a limitation of the enterprise, what we are talking about. Now, there is a history of the enterprise in the organization, and that history has changed, and there are people who have tried to address how these organizations behave. And as the time changed, and of course time is changing because this digitalization is coming quite fast, there are people who have tried to establish models to address the specific behaviors in how organizations are doing that. One of the most popular models is the Frederick Laloux model with 5 organizational stages. And he says something like this, that lower level of organization are something like a street gangs, like a mafia, tribal militia. So you have a clear line of authority. That authority is in one person, and that person decides everything. Who will do what, where, and how. Who will she punished or not? So pretty much hierarchy is super clear. This kind of organization doesn't work well in a bigger and a complex world because you have actually dictatorship and all the knowledge is in one person. Going a bit back to the present, there are amber organizations which are focused on longevity and on stability. Example of these organizations would be public school, governments, and traditional churches, for example. Just look how long our educational system exists. So we are talking about century. If you look at the Catholic Church organization, we are talking about 2 centuries. So how to make organizations stand up and live for a centuries. Actually, the key idea is to look at the long-term perspective, focus on the processes, establish key roles, and try to have the stability as it goes along. Big companies, like for example, bank, where I'm working on, we celebrated this year 200 years. how do you make a company work for 200 years, and how do you adopt these kind of companies for the new challenges? Obviously, you need a shift in the mindset, and you need to start thinking about differently. Most of the current organizations are focusing on this. They look with a bit more freedom with the large corporation and like a public governments. And here we already have a decent amount of disruption. These organizations, especially now like an Amazon and Google, are focused on innovation, but still there is a meritocracy and accountability. You are given the task, you are given the money to do, you will have a merit on it, you will have a job description, and then you will run it in order to do something. This was a significant improvement in the way how world develops fast. Still, there is an enormous amount of constraint here, and this is not enough. Organization would need to move faster. And here we come to the green organizations, which are culture-driven organizations. These organizations are focusing on a purpose and giving the meaning to what they do, how they do. Their decision-making process are based on what they want to achieve and what kind of purpose they want to give to the world. Currently, as I'm acting as an Agile coach for a George product, our mission is quite simple. We want to bring excellent user experience to the end customers. So we all have a banks, we need to use the banks. It's not something that we install like willingly, let me have an application to have fun. But what we want to do is actually we want to build application that has a customer experience where you will easily get what you need. And that is usually the basic stuff. I want to see how much money do I have, how will I execute the payment, and so on. And we want to make that experience cool. And this is our driving force. Whatever argument we have in between us and a company, we all want the same thing at the end. And that is actually to satisfy our customer. There is even a higher level, and this pretty much goes into the very small amount of organization that has reached this level. These would be network organizations, which means that each organization has its nodes, and these nodes have a great deal of flexibility and decision power. This is a more or less natural way how our brains are built, and this is actually a natural way how we have built our societies. If you look at the map of Europe, picture of the Europe on the night, you will see the city lights. Actually, what you will see the networks of the cities. And each city developed on its own and has its own specific things, has its own culture, but still they're trying to get connected. On the same thing you can see on a really big scale, you can think of the European Union. The good things, yeah, we are trying to have some standards so we can easily flow and communicate. Well, yeah, the bad thing is this goes quite slowly. But this is a kind of natural way of working because you're going to give a part of the autonomy, but you're going to try to connect on a one way that you can collaborate and move faster. Network organizations are adapting really fast to the market changes. If you know anything about how internet networks work, they work based on the routers and the different nodes that distribute the traffic. Reason why the network is created is when the atomic bomb fell, or when there is a fallout, part of the network will be disconnected, but machines will automatically redirect traffic. And this is the adaptability of the networks. So if you look at the enterprise agile coach, what would be my job is to look at the organization of 100, 200 people and see how organizations behave, how decisions are propagated, how fast do the people have information that they need to do in order to decide how they can do it. In a simple sense, if you are given full autonomy to do whatever you want, then you will be able to come to work, pick up the laptop that you like, pick up the technology stack in which you want to develop, deploy wherever you want, and then you would end up in a full anarchy. On the other hand, if you come to work and absolutely everything is told to you, how you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, how you're going to write the code and so on, then you're getting into the full bureaucracy, and this is what you don't want. So what you want is try to make a decision how companies are moving by giving autonomy to the people so they can do whatever they want to keeping the minimum part of bureaucracy so you can actually communicate with the teams around. If we now go back to the agile part of the enterprise agile coach, There is a really weird thing, which is how to define Agile. Currently, I think the world settled on the idea that the definition of Agile is that Agile is a mindset, which is a great thing, which then asks a question, what is a mindset anyway? Which, by the definition, is the way how you think. Well, good, this is also great, and what that tells us. Pretty much it's the way how you bring the decisions. And each Agile framework, the most popular is Scrum, but whatever you look, no matter what kind of framework, everything in Agile is based on a teams. If you look at the Scrum, 5 to 9 people, 7 plus minus 2. And each organization that goes through any kind of transformation try to build teams that are autonomous, self-organizing, and cross-functional. And as an Agile coach on the enterprise level, this is what you try to do, to give the teams decision power so they can move fast, but you don't want them to move too fast so that the rest of the organization is lagging. Since the title of this presentation is What is in there for you, now try to be a bit selfish, which shouldn't be that hard. Try to picture yourself in an organization, in a team that you're working. And it doesn't need to be organization. If you are studying, try to picture yourself in a team group project. If you're playing some sport, try to picture yourself in a team. How do you function? How do you get the feedback from the team? And what do you do in order to make the team better or high performing? There are multiple models of the team, but as an Agile coach, also as a Scrum Master, what we really like to look is the Tuckman's models of the maturity phases. So when you get the people together, what you have is actually a group of people. Each of these persons have their own idea what they want to do and how to do these things. When you put them in a group and you create a team, you give them a task. You want them to do something, to create a feature for an application, to build an application, to do the prototype. All of them will have different ideas on how to do this. And your next task is to apply a bit of a pressure, and that goes quite easy. Guys, we need to deliver in 1 month's time. And then the ideas of the different people become stronger and stronger, and then actually you end up in a storming phase. If you're acting as a Scrum Master and if you're acting as an Agile coach, actually this is what you want to see. Because this is where conflict comes. And you as a coach, you want to see conflict because this is a time when you step in, you turn out that conflict to be a positive thing, and you start building up the teams. But conflict that I have experienced as a developer, we're almost there to the brink of a fight. It was before lunch, we were hungry, but nevertheless, luckily the food came in. It was quite simple. I was developing a backend part, colleague was developing front-end part. After 3 weeks, we needed to merge, and it didn't work. He used one algorithm, I used the second algorithm. We didn't know each other very well, so we didn't talk. And we clashed. And then we find out, okay, this is bad. Now we need to fix this. And of course, you're a self-autonomous team, nobody cares. Then you try to fix things. And then you try to communicate a bit better. Actually, usually when you come to this situation, you have this person as a long-time friend, which is actually what happened too. In my first application as a project manager, we were super stupid, and we had a simple flow in a mobile application with around 6 different screens, and we had 6 developers, and okay, it's super simple. Each developer has his own screen. You know what you're doing? Yes, we know. Yeah, go, let's do it. And then after 2 weeks comes the review, and absolutely when you put these 6 screens, nothing works. Well, then the storming comes. Who is to blame? It's not you. You didn't tell us. I didn't use a proper model, and so on, so on. As a Scrum Master or as an Agile coach, you want this, because this is almost inevitable. And when you see this phase, this is your opportunity to go to the norming phase, to facilitate the decision-making process, to get the people to decide what they want to do and how they want to do it. And then you move on. Then you would reach a performing phase. The best example that I have personally experienced of the high-performing team was we have built an application, and then on a common communication channel came the message from the product owner we have a production bug. And when you have a production bug, it's quite simple. You are losing money, so you don't have a chance then to leave everything and start doing it. Now, it is supernatural, is the way how we build, to search for whom to blame. And this was the pretty much reaction of all of us. You know, we all saw the message, and we turned around like this, And this was my personal train of thought. Yeah, you developed the code, most probably you fucked up something. Yeah, but actually you did a code review and you merged it, and why didn't you test it properly? This is supernatural way of behaving. What was in that case high-performing team that after 5 seconds we all look at each other and said, okay guys, we created the application, it's our bug, there is no other way to do it than fix it. And we all start fixing it immediately. And this is a high-performing team. And of course, we fixed it quite fast. When you reach this stage with the teams, you would reflect something which you can see as a really good basketball team. They are on a court, they are alone, they have the roles, they know high level what they do, but they're constantly reacting on the opponent. And if they are high performing, they more or less know how they will behave in each situation, and this is actually what makes them great. There is also one stage which is adjourning. At some point of time, pretty much everything goes along when the project is done or something similar happens. As you can see so far, as a job of an Agile enterprise coach, you try to create a bunch of teams and put them in the organization with a decent amount of authority so they can decide and they can move fast. Also, in this enterprise Agile coach, there is a word coach, and the question is what that means. Coach is not a mentor, because it would be I'm telling you more or less what to do. It is not consultants that it create a pretty slides and go away. Coach is actually the person who will try to find an answer in the coachee. And this is the idea. When I come as a coach, my goal is that you don't care about me, I care about you, and my job is to listen to your problems. And where it comes part, when I told you to be a bit of a selfish, if you're working in a Scrum, or if you're working in an Agile way, Scrum Master is the one, or Agile Coach is the one who would be there to listen to your problems and then help you out resolve the problems. These problems can really vary. It can be problems, technical one with the delivery. It can be problems with the asshole guys from the architecture. It will be problems that the battery in your wireless mouse doesn't work. These are the problems that needs to be resolved. This is why in a Scrum you actually have a Scrum Master who will take care about everything else so you can focus on how to deliver stuff. Current organizations are trying exactly that, to create small teams that will be actually carried away by the Scrum Master or the coaches that will be coached to resolve the problem in a faster and a more efficient way. There is also one part here, and that would be individual part of how Scrum Master or coaches approach the individuals. You can have people that they are not performing, you can have unhappy people, and all the people in the team are constantly facing changes. It can be change in a technology, it can be change on a company priority, it can be change in the staffing, and you always get some kind of news. New guys coming to a team, new boss is coming, CEO left, new CEO is coming. Database patch for the Oracle database is coming and is super urgent, we must understand. Product owner is pissed off because of something. There are constantly changes. Production issues there. There is a constant change. And one of the best model is a transition curve of how people feel during the changes. And as a Scrum Master or a coach, you would need to understand that the people are going through these phases and to guide them. When the change comes, pretty much you are shocked. The next feeling would be you're a bit excited, okay, if there is a change, something moves on, so which kind of look cool, but then depends on the heaviness of the problem, you start to be afraid because you must get out of your comfort zone. There is something going on and you're not sure what it is. Then the change can start threatening you. Then you can actually feel a bit guilty. Why is this happening to me? What did I do in order for the things to happen? And then actually you can hit the depression of the crisis because you are super unhappy with the change. But at some point of time you need to accept it and then you move on. And you move on with experiments with the ups and downs, and hopefully you come to the satisfaction. As a Scrum Master who is working with the teams, as an Agile coaches, you need to understand that these changes are affecting people. If you ignore them, you can end up that the people start ignoring, like, yeah, no, this is not happening to me, leave me alone, I'm going to go out of the way. You can actually see that the teams are super motivated. Yeah, this is constantly happening. I don't want to think about it. Or you can actually end up with the hostile people not being able to cope with the amount of change. On the individual level, you would need to see how the people in the team behaves, and you need to guide them through the changes. And again, the change is the only constant in a modern world. So using all this model question is, what one enterprise coach does the whole day and how he can actually help you. Pretty much, I haven't found a company where I haven't heard communication in this company sucks. So pretty much wherever I go, yeah, communication sucks. In this project, communication sucks, and so on. If you look at a bit more, communication is super complex. And Alistair Coburn is a guy who co-signed the Agile Manifesto, and he created this nice picture saying, we have these types of communication like a paper, audio tape, video tape, and email. And then we have a bit more different types of communication that can be instant messaging, phone, video, face-to-face. When you're doing this kind of communication, if you look at the left side, the only thing that you can do is document stuff. On the right side, or actually I messed up the side, sorry. On this side, you can only do the modeling, which means that you need to work together, create the models, how to resolve the problem. Also, he pretty much said these kind of types of communications are asynchronous because, it's a fire and forget. I have wrote an email and I don't care. It's on someone else's desk. This doesn't work usually. On the other hand, you have a synchronous conversation where you're constantly getting feedback, and this is not super easy because you need actually a lot of energy to talk with the people. So face-to-face would be the most important thing here. But if you're working in a company of 200 people, you cannot make sure that everybody's talking face-to-face. So one of the nice actually thing is to think, is the communication hot or cold? It depends what you want to do. If you want to notify the people that the fire drill will take place in 27th of November, then you can send an email, pretty much it will be fine. If you want to notify people that there is a production bug, probably you will storm into the team place and say, guys, we are screwed, let's fix this. And different people have a different idea of the perception of how they want to be communicated with different type of information. And one of the biggest challenges is to make all of this work in a big organization. There was a really nice research that found out that if the distance between two persons is more than 8 meters, most probably you will end up with writing an email, because people will not walk to a different person for 8 meters just to have a face-to-face conversation. If you have a stairs, forget. Email is what it goes. If you read the newest article about these super cool new open spaces, you would see the now opposite effect. Everything is open, so actually you don't want to talk because you are disturbing a lot of people. So now you are sending more emails. So these are the things that actually not so easy to cut up with. So if you apply this to a typical Agile organization, you are here, you are a team member. You want stuff from you, and you want stuff for yourself because you are normally selfish being. But the question is, how can you contribute to make this team running faster? And how the team can help you running faster. If you look at, let's say, division, now depends on the number, it goes from 50, 70 to 100 people. How can you help to make this whole division works? If you look at the modern organization, you would have Agile coaches that are actually this. They are a change alliance to help the people with the people process tools. This is their job. So idea of having a boss who will tell you everything is completely obsolete because you cannot wait for the boss to tell you what to do. You need to self-organize if you want to move fast. On the other hand, we make an impact on the organizational level with the different models, on the team level, and at the end on you with the different change model. So all of our work, daily work of the Scrum Masters and the Agile coaches is actually based on this. People misunderstand how to use Jira. Okay, let's do it. We have introduced Slack. That's great, we like it. But then people start posting cat videos on it. Good, go to the people, tell do not post the stupid things on there. Then people use the different names. Okay, guys, can you please use the real name? There is a lot of people, we cannot remember all of you, and so on. So these are the things that are constantly happening. You are building an application for 6 months, and then suddenly you see competition has published 3 times better application. guys, this is not what we want to do, we need to pivot. Let's repurpose this team, let's build something else. These are all the changes that are constantly coming, and actually Agile coaches are the one who would be there to help you out with this. To be now perfectly focused on an individual level, on a human being, it becomes really tricky and really hard to satisfy one person in a workplace, which means that it's really hard for you to satisfy yourself and then to satisfy a team and then actually to satisfy the whole organization. This is one of the best quotes that I have actually found. I like it because it also describes me quite well, but this is the idea. What makes people happy? There is a decent amount of models of the motivation around. This is one of the newest from the guy called Daniel Pink. And he told actually that these are the three things that makes people happy. First of all would be autonomy. No one likes to be told what he or she needs to do. So I want to have autonomy so I can create solution for the task that I have. I want to have a freedom in what kind of task I will be doing. And actually, I want to have an ability to manage time as I want, which means from the home office to being in the office to drinking coffee somewhere and so on. And this is the idea of the autonomy in a self-autonomous team. I don't care how you're going to act as a team as long as you are delivering. One of the first things that my team did when we had a really high performance, we were doing a sprint planning in a coffee shop. And then the boss came, yeah, this is not okay. I said, why it's not okay? It's not okay because the rest of the companies are asking why you are on the Monday morning in a coffee shop. In theory, nobody cared because we delivered and we wanted to be there. But we have actually started alienating all the other teams, and then we actually need to adjust a bit. But this is the level of autonomy. As long as you are resolving your own problems, nobody cares what you do. One of the beautiful methods to evaluate the people is, are you creating the problems or are you resolving the problems? Simple as that. You're given autonomy. If you're running and resolving the problems, nobody will ask you. There is also a thing with this freedom in a task. When the Ford factory introduced the manufacturing line, one of the biggest problems was the job was super boring because you're doing constantly the same thing all the time, the whole day. Then actually in the Ford factory, they have need to double the salaries of the people so they can suffer this, which was actually good because the people then had enough money to buy cars, but nevertheless, people today, especially in a complex environment, like to have some part of the autonomy. Second thing would be something that you can actually consider it as weird. People like to get better in what they do. No matter, is it a sport, is it the music, is it the painting, is it playing the video game, you have this natural tendency to become better, to achieve mastery. And this is actually what we are trying in the Agile organization to give to the people. You're constantly given feedback on how do you do, on how do you perform. You said, you know what Scrum is. Scrum has a daily stand-up, so every day you can receive feedback on the way how you do the work. And we coach the teams to provide useful feedback so the people can become better. We try to give the clear goal. Goal for me is user experience of the end clients in the organization where I'm working. We want to make people life easier. With the financial situation, with the financial hand, this is our purpose, this is what we do. It's super simple. Also, here comes the thing with the hard, easy task. If you were given super easy task, it would be super boring and stupid and you would not be so motivated. If you're given too hard task, it would be too difficult to handle and you would be unmotivated. So what we try to do is try to come up to the sense that the tasks are enough challenging, but also actually not that super hard. And at the end, here comes the purpose why you are doing the thing that you are doing. This is reflected in a mission and the vision, usually of all the companies, and you can challenge your guys, your Scrum Masters, and your why we are doing things that we are doing. Is it the planting the trees away? Is it the helping people to get more fit? Is it the helping people to learn things, to learn language? What is your purpose? How do you make the world a better place? What is the big picture? Are you just there putting some code in and then see what happens? Or you know that you are writing a unit test because you want to make the application more usable, because you want to reduce the calls on a service desk and you want to make people happy. So what is your big picture? What I have now explained is a perfect example of requirement traceability in a theory. So why you are doing things that you are doing. So connecting dots up and down is pretty much the full day job of the Scrum Master. There's also one more thing here. If you know this popular theory, like a Maslow pyramid or a Herzberg theory of the hygiene, there is no food here because finally we have food in abundance, so we don't need to kill ourselves or hunt around. So this is exactly a bit more elevated level how the people reach self-actualization. This is one of the keys model how you can evaluate how people perform in the teams, how team performs, and how do you add a value. If I apply this to myself, why am I doing? What am I doing? First of all, I'm quite selfish, and I like to do because it personally brings me satisfaction. To work with the people, to see the team work better. I learn about it, I teach about it, and it makes me super cool. Effects of my work are visible in the team where I'm working because teams are behaving more better. In that way, also, organization with the purpose which I like and which I'm working, it's actually making the world a better place. And this is my motivation why I do pretty much what I do. Thank you. Thanks. We have 8 minutes for a Q&A, so if you have questions, feel free to shoot. Agile coach? Agile coach and a Scrum Master. Great question. So question is, what is the difference between Agile coach and a Scrum Master? Scrum Master is coming from the Scrum. And originally, a lot of organizations found that the Scrum is not fitting. So they're using Kanban as these different kind of things. And suddenly, people find out that there is a bit more than a Scrum. And someone came up with that, or actually Lisa Atkins is the name of the lady. She said, yes, Scrum Master is not about the Scrum. We have a complex organization, so we're going to call it Agile coaches. Usually what is today considered is that Agile coaches is someone who is taking care a bit more about the organization level, because by the theory, Scrum doesn't go beyond the team. This is why you have all the scaling framework, safe, less, whatever is on there. So it's a bit of a fashion trend, but today, it's understood that an Agile coach is a bit more working on the organizational level. Satisfied with an answer? Good. More questions?
What metric do you use to evaluate the performance of your Scrum teams?
Of our Scrum teams? Currently, actually, we have 15 different Scrum teams, and they are doing almost 15 different things. There are teams that are delivering stuff for the internal teams, and pretty much we can there count how much of the work items they are delivering. For the immature teams, we are simply measuring how many of the things they are moving to the next sprint. So if I go on the closing of the sprint and I see 40% of the items moved, that's actually quite bad, because transparency sucks there. And then we work with the people. So it's not to blame people, maybe they don't know, maybe they don't have a Scrum Master, and this is what you try to do. The key thing is that we try to measure work. And also what you can do on a higher level, you can go outside and ask, guys, are you happy with this team here? And then they will tell you, they answer faster or not, and so on. So pretty much it depends, but we kind of focus on the work items, not on the people. So question is, what is the best approach when you go with a team that has a difficult personalities and it doesn't function? Yeah, okay, you want to introduce Agile methodology. So first thing, one-on-one coaching is a quite good tool to ask people what they want from a team and what they want to do. So you can find the people that simply do not fit with the team, and you can actually ask them to leave a team, or the team will naturally kick them out. There is a thing called social pressure. And with the 5 people working, you cannot actually behave like your own. But there is also a thing you can walk away. So Agile is created to help people. If you have a team and they can use Agile methodology to make them high performing, you do it. If not, then you don't do it. So Agile is not the goal. Goal is high-performing team, and Agile gives methodologies in order to achieve that. So walking away is not it's not unrealistic option. But if you really have a people troublemakers and they are unique, you really try to remove them from the team, not in a bad way. You just put them, hey, you will be consultant, and the people from the team will call you when they need you. But you are not there because you are too disruptive. One-on-one coaching before that helps really, really well. Welcome. Oh, we have 4 minutes. Yes.
What do you think about safe? You mentioned it's one of the ways.
Yes. Good. So I'm
enterprise, right? I mentioned
yes.
It's not only about each team doing something.
Yes.
But typically they work on something common to build a.
Yes. So what I think about safe? Who knows what the safe is? So is it safe? So scaling Agile framework. I'm certified trainer or program consultant. So safe is tool. And if you look at the first line of Agile manifesto, people and process over people and individual interactions over process and tools. So it goes on this side. Safe has been built or created for governments and the banks because they are quite slow organization. And if you think of the bank with 2,000 people, you don't have time to explain face-to-face, this is Agile, we're going to use a poker, we don't know. So SAFe gives you already a library that you can paste to it. And also what is important by definition, SAFe is a framework of proven practices that you can pick and choose what you want. So coming in and saying, guys, we are Agile, we're going to use SAFe, is actually a recipe for disaster. Using part of SAFe as a terminology issue, so you do not actually need to create new roles and responsibilities, can be useful. And the key thing is SAFe is excellent if you want to get something delivered relatively fast. Because you put the people in the organization, which is called Agile Release Train, you give them a cadence, you work in 2 weeks, and you deliver something. If you want to do the bit of innovation there, then you don't have kind of a lot of things to move up. So think of it as a heavily elaborated tool, and then you need to think, do you want to apply it or not? And please don't take it, yeah, it's good or bad. It's created so people want to make money, so you cannot blame people for that. And I want to create this. And there are people who will buy it, and the people are buying it. So in essence, it's a tool anyhow.
I'd like to ask about your opinion on estimating using story points
Okay. Versus Band-Aids, good. So question is, my opinion on estimating story points versus...
trying to sell the idea to the management of the company because Band-Aids is something we understand very easily, whereas story points might be a little bit more difficult.
Good, so story points versus mandates. Good. Story points are created there to address complexity. So you define a story point with effort, which is a mandate, but complexity, level of knowledge, level of risk. Story point is super easy when you get the team working with it. Of course, management doesn't like it because they have no clue what it is. But if you have a decently smart Scrum Master with the basic ability to do the calculation in Excel sheet, she will be able to transform the story point to the mandate. Because what you don't want is you don't want to introduce a fear in a team by, we need to charge, so please be precise in what you're writing, because this is how you create fear. Story points are there as a really nice game where the people are free to put the numbers on, and they're free to make a mistake, and after a couple of sprints, you can find some usage. Mandates are for the finance guys, for the management, so separate those things. And if there is someone who needs to do it, create the bridge. Scrum Master, Agile Coach, whoever. Hope this answers more or less the question. Good. 50 seconds. Any last questions?
Are you able to calculate the points, story points, with the team that you don't know yet? You are introduced to a new team, you are Agile.
Okay. It pretty much depends on the team and who was before me. So if I tell the team, guys, let's estimate a bit, let's use the story points, you can pretty much be sure that first 3 sprints, these numbers will not mean anything, because you need to establish a baseline. And then you can, at the end, find some way of predictability. And when you reach 80% of the predictability, so team delivers 80% of the story points, that's success. You don't need to do more. So if I step into the team and I tell them, guys, we're going to use the story points, I absolutely have no idea what number will be. What I absolutely know, and I'm sure, that they're going to screw up first couple of times. And this is completely fine. And this is okay. Because you need to have a baseline on their learning path on how to use the story points in general. Okay? Ta-da! Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you.